Good. So I'm going to take an extended tour. We're going to give you a quick tour first of everything that's in there. And then this had 3 Great Danes, some huge crates in it, some real access challenges while we're doing it. So we're going to talk through sort of how we designed it, how we put things together, how the dogs are going to move in and out. We're going to go through the Murphy bed, and Tyler might ask me some difficult questions. I don't know. We'll see. But let's go. First off, I'm going to show you this. We got a electric door with a electric sliding step. This is not the sexiest thing, but it's really nice for the dogs. It's a big wide platform to make it easy to get up because it is Sprinter 144's high. So you just pop the handle, big wide step. First step, you got 2 swivel seats up front. You got the big screen. You got our standard uppers. We separated our electric box into 2 sections just because you'll see in a minute why, but we've got, you know, different functions happening in different parts of the van, and this being a 170 extended, you know, it's a long way to go back there if you need electric controls in the back, and vice versa up here. These are the cool crates. We're going to extend a little talk about those in a minute. So for now, we're going to gloss over those. You got a bunch of storage here. We had to make this big enough to throw luggage in there for the suitcases. I got... You got me. I got Dalton here to show you the Murphy bed that he made. It's really cool. It's got teak wood all around this van. So we got these cool rubber straps. They're sort of tension straps like you might see on coolers. Sunbrella fabric, of course, like we always do. Nice fabric. And then he's put these bumpers in here. You got bumpers here too to stop it from rattling going down the road. I don't know if you can see this, but he did a really nice thing where he inset those. And then you got these rubber tension. So as you see, that has some elastic to it, but should be quiet. Our uppers, you got, thank you, Dalton. You got standard uppers with the soft closed hinges here. You got dimmer switches, 2 zones here, 10 lights. So there they go. Caframo fans. These just, they do a really good job. Don't take much power, and what they do is they just circulate air within the van once you cool it off, and it's nice for the dogs. Makes it feel a couple degrees cooler. In the back here, you've got a little kitchenette. We got a ton of stuff in this kitchen. First thing is this stainless sink. It's got a cool little drop feature here, so you have a work area there. Goes down in there. It's got a drain rack there for vegetables. It's on. Water fill is here. Cool. A little bit of storage here. We had to put the water tank under here, which we typically don't do. I think it's got a 10-gallon water tank. The reason we put it here is because, you know, with all these crates, the Murphy bed, we were just out of room. So we had to get kind of clever and put it in there. We have a Set Power AJ50 fridge freezer. These are super efficient. You got a cooling area back here, and then the lower part is the freezer, and as you get higher, it warms up a little bit. This is the electric box here. We have 400 amp hours in the electric box. I'll let Tyler talk about that in a little bit. Some more electric controls up here, more storage. For the cassette toilet, there's this curtain that goes up top here with magnets to give you a little privacy back here. So that is the general tour. Oh, we have Rec Pro Houghton AC. This is a 9500 BTU, and then you have a max fan up front. And in this van, you know, if you know a little bit about the power systems we typically put in, how we size them, and also how we size the air conditioners. If you're wondering about 400 amp hours and then the 9500, the reason we size it that way is this is primarily a transport vehicle. So, you know, they're not going to be sitting idle in the sun in a parking lot forever, you know, trying to keep this thing cool. Most of their usage is going to be on the road. They have a second alternator in it, which I didn't mention. There's also an S-bar heater there while I'm going through things. But the second alternator is going to allow them to basically run this thing perpetually as they drive across the country. They probably would get like 3 to 4 hours of runtime on this air conditioner if they shut everything down and just went off the battery, which is, that's a good amount if they want to go in for dinner or whatever, something like that for a quick stop. But otherwise, they're going to have the front AC, which is driven by the belt, so that's going to produce a lot of air that they can send back here. It's going to be supplemented by this. Those two things should work together really nicely to keep it cool in here. It's been hot all day here, like 90s. We've tested it a few times, and it does two things. One, this air conditioner, it lowers the temperature, but as much as that, it removes a lot of the humidity in here, which also makes it feel like it's much cooler than it is. So we've been happy with the way that's working. I think now we might get into some of the cool things in here in terms of like just how much we put in here and how we're going to accommodate 3 Great Danes, because you're seeing us move around in here, me, Tyler, Dalton, and there's plenty of space for us, but this has to work when you have 3, I don't know how big Great Danes, probably 140, 150 pounds, but 3 adult Great Danes not only have to be able to move in and out of these aisles, but they have to be able to load into the crates, get in and out easily, and then we'll show you also some things we did with the Murphy bed, because we wanted everything to work all the time. We didn't want to put the Murphy bed down, then you can't open the crates, that kind of thing. So without further ado, let's get into that. Give me a pause now. How do I look?
Scary.
All right, you got any good questions for me about this van?
All right, Steve, I want to know how you got us to fit all these crates in here.
Design on this was a challenge, actually. When the clients came to me originally, they said 3 adult Great Danes. I love a challenge, so I'm like, of course we can do that. And then, sort of sat down to look at it and said, wow, I hope we can do this. And then, it was a couple days, and I think it was actually, I had made a design or two that I thought worked okay, and then the guys, I don't remember which one of them suggested the arrangement that we ended up with, which was actually an improvement on it, and then we had a couple tweaks from there. Once we found something that was feasible, we just improved on it from there. So I'm going to back up and talk a little bit just about how we typically think about design when we come into a dog van like this. And there's 2 different ways you can get challenged by a ton of dog. One way is if you get like 11 Silky Terriers. That was one build we did. 7 Malinois, recently we did that. So that's a quantity build. This is just a lot of tonnage. Like, we have 3 Great Danes, so we got 450, 500 pounds, whatever that is, a big dog moving in, a lot of height, a lot of length. And so what we typically do is we're trying to identify the things that the client has asked for, that we know they need, that are the largest things, and we try to get them out of the way first. And then we start plugging in with some of the smaller things where we have choices to make and they have some design options. So typically what that equals, and most of our people get the queen bed, as you've seen in the background, in the back of the van, and we put it sideways. And then we've got a standard electric box that we typically put along our driver's wall, and a water tank that we put on the passenger side wall. In this case, that didn't work for a couple reasons. I'll show you. But right away, you see the height of these crates. And what we do when the client says we have 3 Great Danes, we say, all right, well, what's the minimum size that they can go in? And then we're dumping those blocks in the renderings and seeing where things fit. So 55 inches high is what these had to be. So right away, this is what it looks like when you put 55 inches down on the floor. And so the idea that we were going to put a bed across that in the back was out. It would just be impossible to get into. If you did get into it, it'd be like a coffin. If you did that in the rear where we'd like to do it, by the time you got it way back there, it'd be sway. One thing I will mention is, as soon as this client came to me, and told me 3 Great Danes, we automatically went to 170 extended. I knew we were going to need the length that this gives us. Transit isn't as long as this in the extended, but it does give you width advantages. It also gives you a little bit more height. In a van that's getting a ton of crates, I might choose that width advantage over the length. But in this case, I just knew we needed the length. So let's come back here. We did still put the electric box here. We just built it vertically where we typically stretch it out that way. And I'll have Tyler talk about the electrical system in a minute. The kitchenette, we decided where to put later, but the first things we had to deal with, like usual, are the bed and then the crates. Where are they going to go? But it gets beyond just, can we dump this rectangle here and this box here, and is it all going to fit? Because you also have to provide access for the dogs to get in and out, for people to move around. And this is really, you know, we've been doing this 5 or 6 years just for dogs. We're like on our 30th van, somewhere around there. And it's really, you know, we've learned a lot as we've done it. We've learned how dogs move around in the van, how to sort of work around some of the conflicts that we get with doors and access, and, you know, do your dogs jump into crates or do they need to step in? That sort of thing is also, we ask all these questions in the process. So we have all the information we need. Then we know sort of the parameters for our crate, and then we see how it's going to fit and how the dogs are going to access it. In this case, the client wanted a Murphy bed, so that was helpful, because it kind of decided that, you know, we knew, for reasons I talked about before, that it wasn't going to go on top because that was too high. So we were going to have to put it along this wall, or whichever the wall the crates weren't on. The other thing that we deal with in all of our vans are the hub boxes. So typically we have, you know, anywhere from 39 to 42 inches back here for crates against the wall if there weren't water or electric. And so as soon as we get up to these boxes, we can no longer, I don't know if you can peek back here and see the hub box in there. So anything we're doing here, whether we're doing a double stack or single stack, these jump up to here. This is still an easy, it's a pretty easy thing for a dog to step in. This is only, I think, 12 inches high or something like that. So not too bad. While we're in here on the crates, one of the things I'm going to talk about in a minute, but you see how we put an inflection point there? That matches the inflection point on the wall. As I mentioned earlier, sprinters are, especially as you go vertically, they do this. And so they're much narrower at the top. And what happens because of this wall coming in, it ends up, you know, you put your crate that far, you have dead space back here, and it pushes it out into the aisle. And in this case, we needed aisle width for, not just for moving back and forth for the dogs, for the people, but we also needed to maintain the width of this, so this was still a comfortable bed when someone was sleeping there. So by putting this this inflection point back here, it allowed us to maintain that 33-inch width at the bottom, push it against the wall. It's narrower at the top. I think it ended up like 28 or 29 inches wide at the top. But had we not done that, our aisle would then be out here, and, you know, real quickly you can see we'd be jammed here in this aisle. This would be 2 to 3 inches narrower. So that was sort of the first thing we did. That's a cool thing. TNC, you've probably seen them do it with, they do it a lot of SUVs, things like that, where they, you know, they have small vehicles that do this in the back, or they have doorways they have to manage. And they actually, if you guys want to check them out, you've heard us talk about them before. I'm going to give a shout out to them, because you're going to see some of the amazing things they've done here with this van build in particular, but all of them. But they will put those inflection points. They do custom sizes down to the 1/4 inch. And for whatever your vehicle it is, it just makes it, you know, a nice custom fit. And they're patient. They have quick turnaround, and they really will work hand in hand with you to get something that works for your dogs. So back to the crates. The sliding door was the next feature that we put in here. With Great Danes, what we're trying to do is, they have plenty of height here. We have to come 2 inches off each border for the doorways, but we needed a large door to let these dogs get in. And what I was concerned with is just, you know, you're bringing a huge Great Dane in here. Now you've got to pull this door open, and where do you go? So your door comes this way when it swings out. You know, you're trying to talk your dog into jumping in if it's not cooperative. You actually couldn't even see the dog because the door would be here, right? So, you know, as I looked at all these things, the other thing that I wanted too was when this bed is down, and I might as well show you this real quick. And this follows our 30-second rule. We don't like convertible things that don't go up and down in less than 30 seconds. So that's how quickly the Murphy bed sets up there. I'll point out this real quick. We just got heavy duty tension door hinges on this, so they're going to hold up well. But you can see that if we had put a normal door on here that hinged out, that you'd have a conflict here. So if you needed to get the dogs out in a hurry, something happened, you'd have to put the Murphy bed up first, that kind of thing. This way, these still work, whether this is up or down. So that was a cool feature that was kind of a byproduct once we got into eliminating swing doors and they were willing to do this sliding door. We found that. And just by the way, the idea for this sliding door actually came from if you've seen those double crates we typically put under beds, and maybe I can link to, splice a video in here or something up here real quick, so that I can show you. One of the things we designed early on with TNC crates is this, I can't reach the lever, but this sliding divider wall. You just pull it that way. Yeah. And it goes that way. It allows you to load 2 dogs into one single crate box through one door, because you have this limited aisle space. So not enough room for 2 full doors. Then you get them loaded, that side, pull that shut. You've now got 2 dogs in here. So I'll put this back up quick. I love this. It turned out really nicely. Just, you hear me talk about the 30-second rule, but that's like 10 seconds. That's up. With bedding on this, it's going to be even snugger fit probably. We put these cooler style or like bike rack style hinges on there. So you see they have some stretch. They're going to hold it well. Should be quiet. Back to the crates though. The client in this case had us, we usually use Sunbrella for everything, but even the dogs got Sunbrella this time. Those are 33 by 50 and they're about 3 inches thick, I think. Nice human mattresses for the dogs. So I think that is most of the things that we did in design. And again, part of this process was talking to the client closely, talking to TNC. I must have measured this distance here 20 times in the van, because we literally used every 1/4 inch. Where we killed it out in the front, we were trying to maximize the crate but not eliminate the ability to swivel up in that driver's seat. And I think we did a pretty good job. I'm curious. I can't wait till this gets to Oklahoma. I want to, hopefully Tim and Marie can send me pictures of their Danes loading up. And yeah, it's going to be cool to see. Maybe I'll bring Boots by tomorrow. She likes to give things a test run. She could probably deliver a litter in one of these crates. But did I miss anything?
I don't believe so.
Dalton, did I miss anything?
No, you said that we took 20 measurements. I think it was more like 2,000, but it worked out good. So, okay.
I was talking about the ones I took.
Oh, yeah.
All right. T, you want to talk about the electrical real quick?
Yeah. All right, so here in the back of the van, as you can see, we have split up all of our controls. So your main breakers and your DC switch for your water pump, as well as a voltage meter and USBs are back here. Put all your breakers back here, because these are breakers just like you see in your house. So, those are things that when you're using that item, you can just keep those in the on position and, go away with those. Everything else up front is things that you'll use the second you walk into a van. So we've got an outlet right there, your S-bar heater, as well as the controller for your inverter. So you don't have to come to the back of the van to get your inverter and AC system working. You can just go ahead and flip the switch up front. As well as
so you kind of organize those things so that basically where you're going to need the things you have turn around.
Exactly. All of your electrical items are in the places where you're using them.
So you have controls to the sink and outlets, microwave, all that stuff back here. And then what'd you say you have up front here?
We've got a S-bar diesel heater, as well as the remote multi-control for your inverter here. So you can see I got it on charge only. I can go ahead and flip that on, and that's going to tell you exactly what the inverter is doing. So that allows you to control the inverter charger, which he just showed you in the back from the front. And then over here is your S-bar heater. So you can use this as a fan also, but it is a diesel heater plumbed into the factory gas tank. So this is nice. You can set that temperature to whatever you need it to be. Let's leave that off. As well as how long you want it to run for. And that's just underneath the passenger seat there. Cool. All right. Next fan. D, what do you want to share? D does all the woodwork in here.
I don't have to explain mine. You just look at it.
It just looks pretty? That's what D wants to say about it. He says it doesn't need words. It's just pretty. And it is. Some of his teak woodwork. Trim up there. The countertops, also teak. And we get all our teak where? Advantage Lumber in Sarasota.
For this van, yes.
Yeah, for this van. Sometimes we go to World Panel
We
and
got some of our plywood for the walls and the cabinets, yeah.
Yeah. But no, it looks cool.
Handpicked by Steve himself. He drove out there and got each board.
That's right. Yeah, it is. This is the plantation teak in particular is highly variable. So we were trying to get as much of this blonde as we could to tie it in with the van because we didn't want it too much of that golden honey color. So picked out a bunch of boards that had a lot of this blonde because that's what the client asked for. So, all right. Is that a wrap?
I think so.
All right. Thanks, guys. Good job on this one.